Life was never promised to be easy. From the very beginning, humanity has been met with seasons of hardship, moments when the soul is tested and the heart feels the weight of unseen battles. Trials are woven into the very fabric of existence, not as signs of failure or divine neglect, but as sacred opportunities for something greater to be birthed within. It is in these moments, when the world seems to close in and the path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, that the unseen strength of faith reveals itself. Faith does not shout, it whispers with unwavering authority. It does not demand attention, sustains the soul quietly, powerfully, and persistently. It is the invisible force that holds a trembling heart steady when everything else trembles around it. When faced with adversity, it is tempting to believe that one stands alone. The mind races with fears, the heart questions, and doubts press in from every side. Yet it is precisely in these moments that faith stands ready, a wellspring within the spirit that calls one to rise higher than the trial itself. Faith is the inner assurance that though the night may be long and the journey arduous, a greater hand is at work. It is the conviction that even when nothing makes sense, everything is held within a divine purpose far beyond human understanding. Faith is not a denial of reality. It is the declaration that reality is not limited to what the eyes can see or the mind can comprehend. Every hardship, every loss, every unanswered question becomes a seedbed where faith can either wither or flourish. The choice rests within the heart, to yield to despair, or to lean fully into the unseen power that whispers, "You are not forgotten, you are being prepared." Trials do not come to destroy, they come to reveal. They unearth what lies hidden beneath the surface. They peel away the superficial, the temporary, the shallow comforts that once seemed sufficient. What remains after the storm is a soul fortified, a spirit tested by fire, a heart made capable of carrying a greater purpose. There is a divine wisdom at work in every moment of pain, every season of waiting, every valley walked in the shadows. Faith calls the soul to trust that what seems like delay is not denial, that what feels like defeat is often a doorway to destiny. It is easy to believe when the sun shines and every prayer is answered immediately, but the power of true faith is found in believing even when the evidence seems scarce, and holding fast when everything within screams to let go. This faith does not merely endure trials, it transforms them. It turns graves into gardens, ashes into beauty, mourning into joy. The strength needed to endure life's fiercest trials is not summoned by willpower alone. It is born from surrender, letting go of human control and a firm grip onto divine promises. Faith lifts the gaze from the brokenness of the present and fixes it firmly on the hope of what is yet to come. It infuses courage where fear once ruled. It breathes life into dreams that seemed long dead. It fuels perseverance when the body is weak and the soul feels barren. Faith is the unseen hand that steadies every faltering step and the quiet voice that whispers, "Press on, for you are closer than you think." In every trial, a question is posed to the soul. Will you trust what you see, or will you trust what you believe? Faith invites the heart to answer with boldness, to declare that though the mountains may tremble and the seas may roar, the foundation beneath remains unshakable. And so, standing at the threshold of life's trials, armed not with earthly weapons, but with the power of unseen trust, one can step forward, not because the journey is easy, but because the strength within is greater than the storm without. When the storms of life arise, and they will, the soul instinctively searches for something secure to cling to. Waves of uncertainty crash without warning. Winds of doubt howl and tear at the mind's fragile defenses. In these moments, faith reveals itself not merely as a comforting idea, but as an unshakable anchor. It is not a fleeting feeling, nor is it based on the shifting sands of circumstance. Faith holds steady because it is tethered to something deeper than human understanding, a divine certainty that stands unaffected by the chaos above. Emotions may rage, fear may whisper lies, but faith remains rooted in the bedrock of eternal truth. It becomes the soul's anchor, gripping tighter as the storms intensify, refusing to let the heart drift into despair. When nothing else seems sure, when friends falter, when plans crumble, and when even one's own strength seems to fail, faith stands immovable. It is the quiet insistence within the heart that declares, Though everything around me changes, the one who holds me remains the same. Faith is not blind optimism. It is a fierce, deliberate trust. It does not ignore the reality of pain or deny the gravity of hardship. Rather, it acknowledges them fully while refusing to be defined by them. Faith knows that the storm has a limit. It knows that what feels endless has an appointed end. The waves may threaten to overwhelm, but they are powerless against a heart anchored in something greater. In fact, the more the storm rages, the deeper faith can dig its roots. It draws strength not from circumstances, but from promises that endure beyond time itself. Even when the night is long and the dawn seems delayed, faith continues to whisper that the light will come, that the storm will break, that victory has already been written into the story. And because of this, the soul can rest, not in the absence of the storm, but right in the middle of it, held fast by a faith that does not move. The power of faith as an anchor is not seen when the waters are calm. It is proven when everything that can be shaken, and yet the heart stands firm. Trials do not weaken the believer who clings to faith. They refine them, strengthen them, and elevate them to new heights of trust. The storm becomes the very place where character is forged, where resilience is birthed, and where the deepest assurance takes root. Faith whispers that even the fiercest tempest cannot sever what has been divinely secured. It is not about escaping the storm, it is about standing unbroken within it. When faith is the anchor, there is no wave strong enough, no wind fierce enough, no darkness deep enough to sever the soul from its source of hope. Through every season, in every battle, faith holds firm. And because it holds firm, so too does the heart that dares to believe. Every trial that enters a life is not sent to destroy, but to refine. Though a hardship often feels like punishment, it is in truth preparation. It is in the fire of adversity that the impurities of fear, pride, and doubt are burned away, leaving behind a soul of resilient purity. Trials are not random attacks. They are the sacred workshops where faith is hammered, shaped, and made strong. Without the heat of testing, faith remains soft, untested, and fragile. But when it passes through the refining fire, it emerges solid, immovable, and radiant with purpose. What feels unbearable is often the birthplace of the unshakable. There is a profound difference between a life lived in ease and a life shaped by perseverance. Ease may offer comfort, but only perseverance produces strength. Only in the face of resistance does the soul discover what it truly holds. Trials reveal the depth of faith, not when the path is smooth, but when every step requires trust in what cannot yet be seen. Faith transforms suffering into strength because it does not view pain as the final verdict. It understands that every setback is setting the stage for a comeback. What may appear as loss is often a clearing away to make room for something great. In the hands of faith, disappointment becomes an invitation to deeper trust, and sorrow becomes a wellspring of compassion and wisdom. Through the lens of faith, trials are no longer meaningless. They are meaningful. They are not interruptions to life's journey, they are integral to it. Each hardship carved into the story of a life becomes a testament of overcoming, a pillar of strength where once there was only fear. Faith refuses to waste the pain. It refuses to allow suffering to be in vain. Instead, it gathers every tear, every heartbreak, every broken dream, and offers them up to the divine hand that specializes in creating beauty from ashes. Perseverance in trials produces character, and character nurtures hope that is not fragile but enduring. This hope does not disappoint because it is rooted in something far beyond human frailty. It is rooted in the unchanging promises of the eternal. Every fiery trial endured becomes a brick laid in the foundation of an unbreakable life. The soul that embraces the refining fire with faith emerges not bitter, but better, not weaker, but wiser, not defeated, but victorious. There is no triumph without testing, no maturity without struggle, and no greatness without the flames of adversity. Faith assures the heart that the refining fire, though fierce, is never without purpose. It is shaping a destiny far greater than one could have imagined, forging a character strong enough to carry the weight of a divine calling. Faith does not wait for perfect conditions to move forward. It does not demand a clear map before it takes the first step. It moves when everything in the natural says, stop, and it presses on when sight offers no assurance. Walking by faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about trusting a deeper reality, one that exists beyond the limits of human perception. Sight is limited. It sees only the surface, the immediate, the temporary, but faith sees further. It sees the promise hidden within the problem, the victory beyond the valley, the sunrise beyond the darkest night. To live by faith is to resist the temptation to live reactionary lives based on circumstances. It is to anchor the heart to truth even when facts seem to contradict it. Walking by faith means declaring, I believe in the outcome even when I do not yet see the evidence. Every act of faith defies the tyranny of sight. Every decision made in trust, not fear, builds a life that stands even when the visible world falls apart. The most powerful breakthroughs are often born in seasons when nothing visible suggests they are coming. Faith steps forward when the path is invisible, when logic says retreat, and when comfort screams to stay behind. The courage to move without visible guarantees separates those who merely dream from those who truly conquer. Faith is the bridge between what is and what can be. Without faith, the heart shrinks back, playing small, clinging to what is safe and predictable. But with faith, the soul stretches beyond the present limitations and touches the edges of destiny. Every miracle that has ever graced the world first lived as unseen belief within the heart of someone who dared to walk by faith. Mountains are not moved by faith. Closed doors are not opened by resignation. They are opened by the relentless knock of trust that refuses to let go. To walk by faith is to live in expectation of the impossible, to carry hope when others have given up, and to refuse to be defined by what the eyes can see. True faith is not passive. It is active, powerful, and world-changing. It marches forward carrying the banner of unseen promises, undeterred by temporary setbacks. It speaks life into dead places and calls things that are not as though they were. It fuels perseverance, fans the flames of hope, and ignites courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Living by faith is not reserved for the few. It is the birthright of all who dare to believe that the invisible hand of the divine is more real than the shifting shadows of circumstance. Each step taken in faith strengthens the soul, deepens the roots of hope, and builds a legacy that cannot be shaken by the storms of life. Walking by faith is not about perfection, it is about persistence. It is the daily, sometimes hourly choice to trust, to believe, and to move forward even when the path ahead seems uncertain. And in the end, those who walk by faith discover that what once seemed impossible was always within reach. Not because they saw it with their eyes, but because they first believed it in their hearts. Faith is not a crutch for the weak, it is a weapon for the warrior. It is not the last resort of the desperate, but the first choice of the determined. Faith arms the soul with courage when fear would otherwise paralyze it. It lifts the spirit beyond the reach of doubt and places it firmly on the foundation of truth that no storm can erode. Faith is a shield against the fiery arrows of discouragement, a sword that cuts through the lies of despair. When life's battles rage fiercest, it is faith that rallies the heart, steadies the mind, and strengthens the hands for the fight. It does not eliminate the battle, but it guarantees that victory is possible. Fear may shout loudly, but faith speaks louder in the quiet places of the heart. Obstacles may rise like giants, but faith sees them fall like dust. When the world says it's over, faith says it's just beginning. Armed with faith, every limitation becomes an opportunity, and every defeat becomes a platform for a greater comeback. Living by faith does not mean a life free from trials. It means a life where every trial is met with unwavering trust. It is a refusal to bow to the weight of adversity, that the promises of God are more powerful than the threats of the enemy. Faith looks at closed doors and sees new paths. It faces shattered dreams and believes in greater visions. It hears the word impossible and responds with relentless hope. Those who live by faith know that storms do not last forever. They understand that pain is temporary, but what is forged in those painful places is eternal. Faith lifts the gaze above the immediate struggle and fixes it on the eternal prize. It is not content with survival, it demands triumph. It does not settle for partial victories, it presses on until the full promise is realized. And it carries within it the certainty that no trial, no setback, no valley is greater than the one who leads through them all. The life lived by faith is a life of victory. It is not an absence of trouble, but the undeniable presence of strength within the trouble. It is the daily decision to trust when things make no sense, to move forward when the way is unclear, to believe in victory even when defeat seems inevitable. Faith does not deny the existence of the storm. It simply refuses to let the storm define the journey. It knows that the final word belongs not to the trial, but to the triumph. With faith as the guide, no burden can crush, no setback can disqualify, and no fear can paralyze. The one who walks by faith walks in the power of the unseen, fueled by a hope that does not disappoint. They know that their story is not one of defeat, but one of rising, not one of despair, but one of destiny. Faith guarantees that no matter how fierce the battle, the outcome is assured. The soul anchored in faith will always overcome, will always prevail, and will always step into a future filled with promise, purpose, and unparalleled victory.